Ghosts and ghouls, demons and aliens, monsters and worse, only here on Ghost or What, the best channel for original scary stories. Our next story is Dating a Mentally Ill Guy. This story goes back to when Tinder was new and everyone used to search for partners on the app. I was also very excited because I always loved the idea of a blind date. I also started using it to find a perfect match for myself. Finally, I came across a guy who was similar to me. His name was Ian. His likes and dislikes were just like mine. He used to live a 1-hour drive from where I used to live. We started talking to each other. I realized that we had more in common than it seemed. I started to like him. He asked me several times for a date, but I was hesitating a little. I could not decide if I should go out with him or not. The whole month passed by, and he asked me again. He said to me that it had been a month already, and I should trust him more. I felt guilty, so I agreed. I was very excited to meet him. I picked the most beautiful dress that I had. I did a little makeup and left for the hotel. We decided to meet at a place that was somewhere in between our homes, so none of us had to travel so much further. I decided to take my car and hit the road. After about 40 minutes, I reached the place. I nervously entered the hotel, looking around to find him. Then I spotted Ian, sitting at the last seat of the hotel, a little away from the crowd. I felt a little odd, but then I thought he might be a little introverted. I moved toward him with a broad smile on my face. As I went nearer, he stood up from his seat and pulled the chair out for me. He complimented me for my looks. I felt really happy about the way he treated me. The whole hour went by, and we could not even realize it. After another hour, we decided to leave. He asked me to come along, as he wanted to show me something really important. I hesitated at first, but then he told me how much I meant to him, and my heart melted and I agreed. I wanted to take my car, but he told me that he needed to spend time with me, but I still insisted as I could leave my car there just like that. He seemed a little worried to me, but then maintained his expressions. I took my car and followed him. We were going a little away from the main road, but I did not bother. After a 20-minute drive, we reached a deserted area by the lake. We both stepped out, and I started to look around. The place seemed beautiful. The light from the moon was making the lake even more beautiful. There was a cabin beside the lake. He told me that he used to spend his alone time there. He led me inside the cabin. It was a furnished place with a little bar at the corner. He stood behind the bar and made a drink for me. I took a sip, liked it, and drank the whole glass in one go. After a minute or two, I felt my head spinning. Everything around me was spinning. I tried to concentrate but was unable to. Then I fainted. The last thing I remembered was a weird smile on Ian's face. When I woke up, my head was hurting quite badly. I tried to stand up, but could not as I was tied to a chair. I panicked as I realized that I was in some deserted area, tied to a chair. I tried to shout, but no sound came out, as my mouth was stuffed with tissue paper. I tried to move my tongue, but nothing happened. I looked around as I wanted to find something to set myself free. The room was empty other than a chair. All I could find was my purse, lying at some distance from me, hidden behind the curtain. I must have dropped it while he was taking me inside the room. I tried to grab it using my leg, but it was at a distance from me. I was thinking about grabbing it when suddenly the door swung open. The entry was so sudden that if I was not tied, I might have jumped with terror. My heart started to race very abruptly. I saw Ian entering the room with a sharp and long knife in his hand. His eyes had the scariest expressions I had ever seen. His eyes were wide open, and he was grinning at me. He came nearer and stood beside me. He looked at me from head to toe and then traced my face with a knife. I felt like hundreds of insects creeping on my face. I tried to pull my face away from him, and he slapped me quite hard. Everything went black for a while. Then he told me how he would chop my body parts, and then watch me cry in pain. And then he would cut me in million pieces, and throw my pieces in the lake, like he had been doing for several years. Then he went out of the room, and for the first time, I realized the severity of the danger I was in. After a minute, I heard the sound of an engine starting and a car taking off. I realized that it was my time to do something. I tried to shake the chair. After trying for a minute, the chair finally fell, and I dragged it towards my purse. I again used my tongue to throw the tissue from my mouth. After trying for several minutes, the tissue started to move a little. And after a while, I was able to throw it out of my mouth. After that, I quickly took my face nearer the purse and opened it with my mouth. I took everything out of the purse and tried to find something that could help her escape. I found a flyer inside my purse. Filing all the time was one of my habits, and for the first time, I felt proud of myself. I slipped it behind me with the help of my foot and grabbed it with my hand. I started to loosen. Luckily, he had tied my hands with a fish wire. Although the wire was cutting through my hands, it was easier to cut it with a filer. After struggling for some time, I finally got my hands free. I quickly got up on my feet and silently and cautiously moved towards the door. I peeked outside and then stepped out. I looked at the bar and found my keys down near the seat. I grabbed my keys, then I realized something and grabbed a wine bottle as well. I smashed it and took the broken glass with me. I carefully stepped out of the house and crept towards my car. I tried to open the door, but my hands were trembling. I took a deep breath and sat inside. As I started the engine, I saw him standing right in front of me. I screamed and stepped on the accelerator. As I drove past him, he jumped on my car and grabbed my hands. He still had that scary grin on his face. I tried to get his grip off me, but was unable to do anything. Even the fast speed of the car was not affecting him. Suddenly, I grabbed the broken bottle and hit him on his hand. He screamed and let go of my hair. I quickly closed the window, but Ian was still lying over the bonnet. I quickly hit the brake, and he could not keep his grip on the car and fell off. I quickly revved the engine again, ran over him, and drove as fast as I could. It had been almost 9 years since that incident, but still the memories are fresh in my brain, and I never went out on a blind date ever again. Did you think that was the end? The terror never ends. Subscribe to our channel to hear more horror stories, only on Ghost or What.